This is the cover photo of my wife's phone right now. That's Brendan sexually drinking a beer with a Taylor Swift shirt on. So, not blowing smoke, you guys. This is for real. We're going to keep it real with you guys. All right. So, this next comic, not a friend at all. Because this guy's really funny. Everybody give it up for Logan Gleeson.
No, we're good. How you guys doing? Woo! Good. A little about me. I grew up in the 90s, like a lot of kids my age. And the house I grew up in, it was in the middle of nowhere, like a deep backwoods area, like redneck area. That surprises people when I say that, because they take one look at me and they just assume like my dad sells yachts or something. Not the case. But when you grow up in the 90s, in the middle of nowhere, there isn't much to do for fun. Like, I remember our only options were you could play with Legos inside or throw rocks at beehives outside. That's all you could do. And one day, that's what was going on. I was inside playing with my Legos. My two older brothers are outside just hucking rocks at beehives for fun. And my mom told me to go tell them dinner is ready. So I did. I go run out and I yell for them. And they come sprinting in from the tree line, like, and they're laughing. And then they run past me and lock me outside. I'm the youngest brother, so I'm used to them. Like, come on, guys, let me in. But they wouldn't. They just kept staring out the window. And they weren't staring at me. They were staring behind me, which made me a little nervous. So I turned, and before I saw what they were looking at, I heard what they were looking at, and it was the most terrifying sound I've ever heard in my life. Probably because I never heard that sound before. That's what was so scary. Because like if I heard that same sound today, I wouldn't be that scared. I'd be like, oh, that's just a duffel bag full of cell phones vibrating. But this is the 90s. I didn't know what cell phones were. I just heard this real big buzzing noise. Like, what could that be? But I found out what the sound was because I turned just in time to get stung by every bee ever in the 90s. I'll make a wager that none of you guys got stung by a bee in the 90s, and I'm happy to help you guys because they were all on my face. I had 9 stings on my face, 20 on my body total. And it was weird because it was only my left side because I turned into it, so my right side was fine. So if you saw me from this angle, you're like, just a normal 6-year-old boy. Then I turned my head and people were like, what is that thing? Poke it. Is it human? Does it feel? But like, your body only produces enough chemicals to reduce swelling of like 3 bee stings at a time. So like, I was stuck, deformed, and puffy for like a month. I couldn't open my left eye for 3 weeks. It was just swollen shut. And my brothers, they called me Two-Face the whole summer. That nickname stuck for a while. So, my friends would call me that on the playground. They'd throw things at me and tease me, which was messed up because I was the cool kid. And then, just like that, overnight, I became a Batman villain. Took a couple of bee stings. But with each passing day, I sunk deeper and deeper into that role until eventually it was like, if they want a monster, I'll be their monster. So I would like, take their kickball and pop it, pee on the slide. Why are you doing this, Two-Face? Society made me this way. Like take their action figures and run under a bridge. Oh, God, he's hideous. Then like one caring girl would touch my face. She's like, I love you for who you are. But during that time, my dad, he wouldn't go out in public with me because other parents would look at us and they thought he'd beat me. That's how deformed I looked. And I don't blame him. That's not a bad reason. He wants to avoid that suspicion. He just never told me that was the reason. So I thought he just stopped loving me. Hey, I wouldn't try in school. I'm going to be a stripper anyway. My dad hates me. I'm going to be a puffy, swollen stripper. I'm fine with it. And that happened a while. That was long. I was 6 when that happened. I'm 88 now. So that was a while. But like today, my brothers still say that story to their friends, but they have their own versions of that where they're heroes. It makes me so mad. Because my one brother, he claims that I was climbing a tree trying to get honey out of the beehive, and then he saved me from certain death. What a guy. My oldest brother, he tries making he doesn't even have a believable story, but it's everyone's favorite version. He claims I was sitting on my driveway shirtless, eating mayonnaise without a utensil. Then bees came. Because everyone loves that story. And I can tell which one of my friends heard that version, because if I'm ever eating at their place, they're like, do you want mayonnaise with that? I'm eating Fruit Loops. I don't want this mayonnaise. But yeah, happy National Sibling Day, guys. I wish I would say that's like the worst thing that happened to me when I was little, but 2 years later, like back where I grew up, you could throw rocks at beehives in the summer, but in the winter you could throw snowballs at cars. That's all we did. And I hate talking about it because I was such a little shithead. I hate thinking about it, but that's all I did. Me, my friend Kevin, and my friend Dylan. We would have snowballs, throw them at cars for hours, and we loved it. this one time, a Toyota Corolla was speeding past us, and all three of us threw a snowball, all three direct hits in this guy's windshield. And you see this Toyota swerve a little bit, and he crashes into a snowbank, and the driver like stumbles out, and we're like, oh god. And we try running, and he's like, hey guys, come on, hey, stay where you are. And he wasn't mad, so we're like, what's up? He's like, your kids, it's snow, I'm not mad at you, I just need directions to the post office. And I'm like, okay, for sure. We walk up to it, my friend Dylan goes, yes sir, all you have to do is keep going down there. And the second my 8-year-old friend turned his head, the 40-year-old man clocked him. Just punched through him. Dylan just exploded. He flew in the air. He never stopped going up. Because at one point, his little feet were level with my head. And I guess the force of the punch triggered the lights in his shoes because they were blinking as he passed. Like a plane taking off. It was so weird that I looked up at him like, is he going to come back down? He never did. But like, it was so weird because when I looked at him, I looked at his face and it was such a weird thought. He looked so peaceful. And he was unconscious, that's what it was. Back then, it looked like he was just sleeping, and I was in his dream with him as he just drifted over the snow. No crazy man could reach him. And I knew the guy was crazy, because before he punched my friend, like as he was winding up, he squealed. So the punch ended up being like, you have to rev up before sucker punching an 8-year-old? You're not stable. There's something we would have known about before we threw some snowballs in his car. Like when he was speeding past us, he was either A, on his way to bust his wife cheating on him, B, he just found the address to his brother's murderer. But either way, the dude was so close to a nervous breakdown, and had 3 snowballs hit his car, and he's like, I'm having it here. And it shows what kind of friends Kevin and I were, because we took off running immediately. I say immediately, I mean like we didn't wait for Dylan to land. You can make the argument that his lifeless 8-year-old body is still flying through time and space. And I couldn't argue against it because I never actually saw him touch down. But Kevin and I are running through people's backyards and we're sprinting, and I couldn't turn my head because that's what happened to Dylan, so I was convinced if I turned just an inch, the crazy man was behind me just waiting to punch me. So I was like, we gotta stare straight. And finally, like half a mile later, I'm like, we gotta go back for Dylan, man. And Kevin, who is the same age as me, braces me, looks me in the eyes and says, don't you see, man, Dylan's gone. It's just me and you now, Logan. I was like, rubbing snot on him. Dylan's not, he's dust. You gotta listen to me, we'll get through this. He's taking this way better than I am. But it's weird, that Kyle kid and I, we went to high school together, we were best friends in high school, but then we grew apart in college, and then we moved back home together, and I'm like, we should get an apartment because we were best friends in high school. And it was a terrible idea because we're living together now and we're just different people. Like, I don't know if this is going to explain it well enough, what kind of guy he is, but I had another friend over in our apartment and we were talking about movies and like, you got The Town, you got Good Will Hunting, you got The Departed, and Ken walks in, he's like, what are you guys talking about? I'm like, yeah, all those good movies set in Boston. And without missing a beat, he goes, did you say Fever Pitch? You said Fever Pitch, right? He thinks Fever Pitch is the best movie set in Boston. So I established that he's the villain, alright? My birthday was last month, and my mom made me a little basket of goodies, and he ate the chocolate bars. So you guys aren't on board with him yet? That's the worst. I'm not Two-Face anymore. This guy's the villain. But anyway, I took his phone and I replaced a girl's number on there with mine, because this girl is perfect in his eyes. Her name's Kate, and I know that he always wanted something to do with her, and I just started texting him as her, the old-fashioned catfish. And it's getting serious now. I never told him. He still thinks I'm her. I knew it was weird right off the bat that I was going to flirt with my best friend. I expected it to be weird. But if I can be honest with you guys, I love the compliments he gives me. I didn't know it. Like today, I was late to work, almost crashed. And then my boss yelled at me, so I just locked myself in the bathroom and texted Kevin, like, just tell me I'm beautiful. He did. I felt great. I'm like, I do have beautiful eyelashes. Power. This was supposed to be like a one-time thing, but it's been 2 weeks and 3 dick pics later, and I don't know. I didn't ask for the dick pics. Don't think that was part of the joke. He sent them to me as good morning texts 3 days in a row. It's the first thing if guys do that, I'm sorry, girls. This is the first thing I see when I wake up. I hit my alarm and go, come on, man. Weird note. He has a tattoo that says R.I.P. Dylan above his junk. So thing, real quick. Me and him, I was fresh off a breakup, and I go out to the bars with him, looking for a companionship night. And I'm like, dude, I'm really nervous. He's like, hey, listen, if a girl asks what you do for a living, tell her you volunteer at an animal clinic. They love that. I'm like, ooh, that's a good idea. So I was talking to these girls, and we're hitting it off. And eventually they asked me what I did for a living. I'm like, I have a job, but my real passion is volunteering with animals. And they're like, oh my God, you help animals? And I said, I like to think they help me. It's going so well. And they didn't believe me, so I brought Kevin over. The guy who told me to use this line, I'm like, hey man, they don't believe me. Tell them I volunteer at a veterinary clinic. He's like, oh yeah, you kidding me? Of course he does. They call him the executioner over there. My man must have put down like 10 dogs last week. All right, good luck. Leaving me with two very scared girls. They were like shaking, and I don't blame them. But I think what like scared them the most was that I said I volunteered. I'm not in it for the money. This is a hobby for me.